Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chairs the 40th GST Council meeting today via video conferencing in the first meeting after the nationwide lockdown. The state finance ministers likely to present the picture of revenue scenario in their states. Supreme Court slams the Delhi government over lapses in the treatment of COVID-19 patients and dignified handling of the dead bodies of the deceased. The court says sorry state of affairs in Delhi and its hospitals, seeks explanations from the Delhi government. Supreme Court says no coercive action be taken against private firms which have failed to pay full wages to its employees during the lockdown period. The apex court says industries and workers need each other and ask states to facilitate settlement between them over the wage payment issue. States take preventive measures to contain the COVID-19 spread. Punjab government orders lockdown on the weekends and public holidays, while Bhopal to remain closed on Saturdays and Sundays. In South, Karnataka cabinet decides to bar online classes for students from class 1st to class 7th. The number of recovered patients of COVID-19 climbs higher compared to those still actively infected. The recovery rate goes up to 49.47%, with over 1,47,000 patients cured and discharged. The active case is more than 1.41 lakh. The global count of COVID-19 cases infected crosses 75 lakh with more than 4.2 lakh deaths. The US is still the worst affected with over 20 lakh confirmed cases. The death toll in Brazil crosses a grim mark of 40,000. Hello and good afternoon. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli. Our top story: the 40th GST Council meeting is underway in New Delhi. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is chairing the meeting via video conferencing. The state finance ministers are likely to present the assessment of the revenue loss due to the implementation of the GST. The GST Council is meeting for the first time after the nationwide lockdown, and the Council is expected to discuss the revenue shortfall and the compensation to the states. The Council will also likely be deciding on the ways to garner funds to compensate the states for the revenue loss due to the GST implementation. And big news coming in from the Supreme Court, which has taken suo motu cognizance on the reports of alleged mishandling of the COVID-19 affected dead bodies. The apex court has slammed the Delhi government for handling of the dead bodies. The top court has termed as horrific the situation in Delhi, referring to the COVID-19 patients being stacked with the dead bodies in the hospitals. The court has said that hospitals are not giving due care to keeping of the bodies and not even informing the family members about their demise. The court has sought a reply from Delhi, Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu on suo motu case related to improper handling of the COVID-19 patients. The Supreme Court has directed the Chief Secretaries to take stock of patient management system, submit a status report on the hospital staff and the patient care. The apex court has posted the matter for Wednesday now. Let's go across now to our correspondent Vikas Sarthi, who's joining us with more inputs on that. Vikas, very strong words there coming in from the top court of the country. It's a rap on the knuckles for the Delhi government for its handling as far as the COVID-19 virus is concerned, the treatment and of course the state of hospitals clearly in the city. And of course they have to reply. What did the court really say in these observations?
Well, Nancy, the Supreme Court took this matter on suo motu basis on cognizance of its own after going through the some media reports where it was reported that that not due care is being taken of the people who lost their lives in this COVID pandemic, and the court was very disappointed in the manner the Delhi government is dealing with this situation. Court said that it's a very state of affairs in Delhi particular, and in fact, court has sought a reply from a particular hospital as well. After seeing some reports, court has sought reply from LNJP hospital in particular, apart from Delhi government, and not only about the treatment, but court also wants to know what are the mechanisms to deal with the situation of handling the bodies of COVID-19 patients to their families. In fact, Supreme Court observed that in what court has seen in some reports that even family members were not informed by the hospitals, and because of that lack of information, some families were not able to attain the last rites of their family members. So court was very disappointed on those reports, and now court has sought a reply from Delhi government, from Maharashtra, West Bengal, and Tamil Nadu government, and court has asked them to specifically from the chief secretaries of these states to give a report that how these cases are being handled and what are the guidelines they are right now following, because court said that it seems that in Delhi the government is not following the MHA guidelines with respect to the handing over the bodies of COVID-19 people. So now these states will come with a detailed report before the Supreme Court, and then court will decide whether some other directions are required to be passed by the Supreme Court. But at this point in time, court was not very happy with the way the bodies were handled by the authorities.
Right, because so you're saying that there was a violation of the guidelines by the Delhi government. Could that also invite action from the top court?
Well, court will certainly go into those aspects as well, but at this point in time, court is in fact taking a lenient view because of this pandemic. At several previous occasions, Supreme Court noted that there are laxity on the part of the hospitals, but court didn't take any coercive action because right now the priority is to treat the patients and to give them all facilities. But if court finds that there is a huge violation of the guidelines, there is a laxity on the part of the hospitals, then Supreme Court may take action or start any contempt proceedings against those people who are responsible for that. But as of now, court is trying to know the state of affairs and whether these hospitals are following the guidelines issued by the MHA or not.
Okay. Vikas, request you to please continue being with us. We have more important updates coming in from the Supreme Court. In fact, the top court has directed that no coercive action should be taken till July last week against private companies which have failed to pay full wages to their employees during the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown period. The Apex Court has said that the industries and employees need each other and they should sit together to arrive at a settlement on the issue of payment of the wages. The bench has asked the state governments to facilitate such settlement process and file its report with the Labour Commissioners concerned. It has also asked the centre to file an additional affidavit within 4 weeks with regard to the legality of the Home Affairs Ministry's 29th of March circular, which had mandated the payment of full wages during the lockdown period. The bench posted the petitions filed by various companies against the 29th March circular for further hearing in the last week of July. The Supreme Court has issued a notice to the centre on a PIL filed over airlines refund issue for flights cancelled during the lockdown period. The Apex Court was hearing a PIL asking for the refund of flight ticket payments to passengers whose flights were cancelled during the lockdown. The court has asked the centre and the airlines to take a stand, discuss the modalities and respond to the court in 3 weeks' time. The court has also asked why should credit being issued by the airlines be limited to a short period for the same route. It has also suggested that the passengers whose flight tickets were cancelled should get a time period of at least 2 years to use the credit amount. Airlines have issued vouchers against cancellation of the flights due to the COVID-19 lockdown. The credit can be used for same route within stipulated time. And hearing petitions on the loan moratorium issue, the Apex Court has observed that the loan repayment moratorium should not lead to higher interest rate being charged. The Apex Court has told the government that they are seeking a wider measure in the petition filed by an individual against interest being charged by the banks during the loan moratorium period. The court said if the interest payment has been deferred for 3 months, banks should not add that amount to the payable money and charge interest on interest. Replying to the court, the Solicitor General said that the centre has sought a meeting with the stakeholders, including the Reserve Bank of India. The meeting will be held this weekend. The SBI has also filed an intervention plea asking to be heard on the issue. Okay, let's go back to our correspondent Vikas Sarthi, who continues to be with us and tracking all the developments coming in from the Supreme Court. Vikas, so all in all, we are seeing different observations coming in by the Supreme Court, and clearly in the interest of the people here. First, if we talk about wages, while the court has clearly said that no coercive action should be taken, but at the same time, the organization, the company and the employee must arbitrate and sit down amongst themselves to talk about wages and find an amicable solution.
Right, Nancy. Several private entities earlier approached the Supreme Court against the MHA notification, where government said that the employers will have to pay 100% wages for the lockdown period. But now the government has said that it doesn't want to intervene in this issue. It is a matter between the employer and the employee, and that notification was issued to give a message to the migrants that their jobs are protected. But as of now, the situation has changed considerably, and now it is between the employees and the employer to sit together and to work on a plan where interest of both sides can be protected. Now, the Supreme Court was also of the same opinion that both employers and employees should be facilitated by the state government, and whatever mechanism they will reach, those mechanisms should be informed to the labor commissioner, respective labor commissioners of that area, and then Supreme Court will hear. But meanwhile, any kind of coercive action should not be taken against those employers, because the matter is still sub judice. It's pending before the Supreme Court, and once an amicable solution can be achieved by both sides, then Supreme Court will see whether court should intervene in this matter further or not, because the government and the court both have said that it is between the employer and employee, and interest of both sides should be protected.
Absolutely, and another important observation coming in from the Supreme Court is the airlines refund issue of flights tickets, as they were cancelled during the lockdown period. While also, in fact, clearly another aspect coming in as far as them being made into a credit ticket, which can be used up to a period of 2 years. Well, that has also been something that has been suggested.
Right, Nancy. Supreme Court has asked the airlines to reconsider their policy. And court has also sought opinion of the union government, and then court will see whether this policy is justifiable or not, because at this point in time court has raised objections on two aspects. First, court said that you cannot fix a short term for the use of these vouchers or credit amount. At least 2 years time should be given to the passenger, and apart from it, that there is a condition that these vouchers can be used on a particular route. Court has also raised objection on that policy as well. Now, all airlines will come with their reply on those two objections of the Supreme Court, and then court will further hear this case.
And another observation that came in from the Supreme Court, Vikas, is of course the loan repayment moratorium, and the court has amply made it clear that this should not lead to a higher interest rate being charged. So this should not be looked as as something that that creating more disturbance clearly for those who have for the loan repayment system.
Nancy, the court has said that that the government, along with the other stakeholders, RBI, should convene a meeting within 3 days, and by the weekend, government must make it stand clear what is government's point of view on that aspect. Court said that whatever policy you are adopting, the interest cannot be charged twice. If you are giving a moratorium on the repayment, then make sure that there should not be a charge on interest as well imposed on the on this moratorium period. So now the government will come with its view, what RBI says and what other banks says. All stakeholders will sit together, and by weekend they will have to make their stand clear whether the consumer will have to pay compound interest or not, or what are the details of this moratorium. These things should be informed. These things will be informed to the court.
Right, Vikas, and all these observations that came in from the top court today are very important, considering that, of course, they are focusing on the interest of the people and making sure that the interest of the people is not harmed. So very important observations coming in there. And as far as wage settlement is concerned, well, any timeline being set for that? Because people must really be waiting for them to be getting their wages and salaries in these challenging times.
Well, Nancy, the court has said that meanwhile, in all those places where employer and employee are agreed to work together and they want to operate, then they can work meanwhile. But so far as the issue of payment of those 54 days period where several industries were not operating because of lockdown, that issue will remain pending. But meanwhile, industries can work, the employees can be paid. These issues will be taken care of later, whether the full wages should be paid for the lockdown period or not. By July, the court has given time to both sides to come up with a solution, and by last week of July, this matter will be again heard by the Supreme Court. Court has given time because there are several private entities, and they need to they need to work out on a plan in different states as well.
Sure.
So the court has given ample time to them, and meanwhile they can function and wages can be paid as normal as of now.
Okay, and Vikas, if you could also share details about Supreme Court's observation as far as home quarantine is concerned.
Right, Nancy, the Supreme Court has sought a reply from the District Magistrate of Noida, and court has also sought a reply from the UP government, because in Noida an order has been issued by the DM that even the asymptomatic cases will have to be put in an institutionalized quarantine home. Though the MHA guidelines said that asymptomatic people can be quarantined at their home only, and the court observed that if you follow this policy throughout the nation, then it will create a problem, because there are a huge number of asymptomatic patients, and if you put everybody in an institution, then it will create chaos. So court has sought a reply from the state of UP, and the court has also asked the District Magistrate of Noida to reconsider his order, because court found it objectionable, and court said that it will create a chaos because if it is followed throughout the country.
Okay. All right, Vikas Sarthi, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing all those updates and observations coming in from the Supreme Court. Thanks very much. Moving on now, the states are taking preventive measures to contain the COVID-19 spread, and Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh has ordered lockdown on the weekends and public holidays, with movement to be restricted to e-pass holders. All the citizens except medical staff and essential service providers will be required to download the e-passes from the COVA app. Industry, however, will be allowed to function normally on all the days. And Madhya Pradesh government has also done something similar. It has decided to completely shut Bhopal on Saturdays and Sundays in view of an alarming rise in the number of COVID-19 cases in the state capital. Bhopal will now remain open for 5 days a week and completely shut on the weekends. And in the southern part of the country, Karnataka cabinet has also decided to bar the online classes for students from class 1st to class 7th. The state government has said that collecting fees in the name of online classes should be stopped immediately. In another major decision, the government has also decided to go ahead with the class 10th board examinations as scheduled from the 25th of June. And an update now on India's COVID-19 recovery rate, which has further shown improvement. The number of recovered patients from COVID-19 has exceeded the number of active patients in the country. And for the third consecutive day today, according to the Health Ministry, 1,47,194 patients have been cured and discharged, while the total number of active cases is 1,41,842. And moving on now to some other news, looking at the phenomenon of the recent earthquakes that shook national capital Delhi and the NCR, the National Disaster Management Authority, the NDMA, has issued an advisory with directions on do's and don'ts underlining the management of such situations in the future and panic management during the tremors. The do's and don'ts include the steps to be followed by people before, during and after, in case any calamity happens. It has also asked people to have an emergency kit ready in case of an emergency situation. It requests people to not believe in the rumors and stay prepared and stay informed. And a look now at the COVID-19 figures globally. The number of infections worldwide is increasing manifold. According to data from the Johns Hopkins, the global count of COVID-19 infected people have crossed 75 lakh with more than 4.2 lakh deaths. And as per the latest update, 75 lakh 16,656 people have been infected, while over 4.21 lakh have lost their lives to COVID-19. While the US still tops with the highest number of infected cases, over 20.23 lakh, and over 1.13 lakh deaths due to COVID-19. Brazil stands second with over 8.02 lakh cases, followed by Russia with around 5 lakh confirmed cases of COVID-19. Though the number of cases of COVID-19 is increasing, but many countries have decided that this is the moment to ease lockdown restrictions. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.